Well, anyways, we're in 4th of July ad, and it is hammered. New York strips on sale. We're slammed, and I'm in a lot of pain, popping the pain medications and stuff like that. And so we're zipping up New Yorks, and putting frozen strips on racks to thaw, and we're getting more New Yorks in, and of course, and anyways, I'm really hurting. And then I get the July 6th off. On July 6th, I have an independent medical examiner appointment paid for by the employer to evaluate my situation. Of course, I don't have any knowledge of the MRI. All it is a lumbar strain according to them. And so I wake up in the morning in a lot of pain. I sit down in my office chair, and then I get back up to get some pain medication, and I sneeze, and that pain intensifies, and it gets really bad. And so I'm calling Intermountain Claims that morning and my doctor saying, can I reschedule this appointment? They say, no, it's better that you go to this appointment, to evaluate your condition. And so I go into this appointment. I am hurting, barely able to walk. And so the doctor examines me, and she says that I'm not fixed and stable, and in her report that I read later that I need 6 more months of treatment, and included injections in there. And of course I had injections at the point when I had them, they wouldn't do anything. They just lightly touched the pain, and then they wouldn't last very long, but they were painful. They were sticking them down in my spine, and then down in L5-S1, and then they had 4 needles that they stuck in my back down here, lower end, and then upper end, and man, they were painful, and he was moving those around trying to get those in the spot, and it was just miserable. But okay, so I call my doctor I call my employer to try to get some time off, and he says, well, my doctor releases an APF without actually examining me, and then I'm saying I need time off, and I'm not doing well. My employer says, if you don't obey that APF, then you'll get an involuntary termination, or you can take 30 days leave of absence, unpaid leave of absence. Well, on July 6th, I also went into U.S. HealthWorks doctor who examined me, and he restricted me way back. He said no bending, no twisting, lifting 20 pounds, I believe, and then my chiropractor on July 9th stated that I shouldn't be returning to full duties. So anyways, I took an unpaid leave of absence until August 8th. I got in to see my doctor on July 26th, and she restricts me way back, all the way to, more in line with what these doctors on July 6th had and 9th had noted, or restricted me to. So anyways, it was never afforded me, and she wrote in another APF saying I needed 4 hours sit-down time, and then I could work in the meat department 4 hours. Well, anyways, my condition was just getting worse. I tried to go back to work, and I was starting to waddle like a duck, the radiating pain and tingling sensations, and on August 15th I called my doctor, and she never got back with me. And so I call in every day, 16th, 17th, 18th. My wife is like 6 months pregnant, and she's struggling, so I'm trying to help her. So I'm starting to do my stretches. I know on the 20th, the physical therapist, basically said that he couldn't see me anymore, again, until I get in to see my doctor. So they stopped physical therapy. It's only doing 40 minutes, twice a week or something like that. So, on the 20th, I send out an email to my employer that says, I'm in bad shape here, folks. I'm hurting and all this stuff. And then on the 21st, I wake up, I'm in a lot of pain, and my wife needs my help, and so I'm doing my stretches and everything, just like they showed me, and that pain just intensifies, and my right leg gets the spasming. Okay. And so my wife says, we write out a letter to Rose Hours, and that morning, it's really getting bad, and that morning we sent it off to Rose Hours, with details. Now this is details of my condition, that I'm sending out. to them and saying, guys, I need help here, and I'm calling my union, I need help here. And so I send out a letter on the 20th, and then I send out this just before we leave to go to my chiropractor, and I can't remember the context of what he said. I think he said something about cauda equina syndrome or something like that. And then we try to just show up at my doctor's front doorstep. And then on the way, I really start to spasm. My right leg is really jerking bad. And so I'm just going to take you to the ER. So we go to the ER, and we're in there. My right leg's spasming. My whole body, my lumbar and everything is just, spasming. And so I get back there and they do another MRI, and she says that I have a pinched nerve. That's the first time that I had heard anything in relation to nerve. And that I have bulging my back. And so they have me on the pain medications, IVs and everything. It calms everything down. And so after that, I'm calling in every day. And I'm saying, guys, I'm in bad shape here. I need your help. And so on the 29th, actually the employer or whoever actually increases my physical therapy from an hour or 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. And, this brings us to the 29th, because on the 29th, they want me back to work in ultralight duty at this point. And so by then, I'm having a hard time driving. And I know that I had a PT appointment at 1 o'clock on this day, on the 29th. And I know I have to be at work at 12:30. And we're going, what do we do? What do we do here? And so we choose to go in because we're running out of money. We're struggling financially at this point. And so my wife drives me in. I go upstairs, and the employer suspends me for that day. The employer suspends me for that day. Leaving out early and all that kind of stuff. Back up just a minute here. When I was working 4 Rose hours, I was always on time. I was always willing to come in on days off. I would come in early, okay? I would work through lunches, and I worked through a lot of lunches because that's who I am, because the customer's always right and the customer always comes first. What do you think I'm going to do if we're swamped and the full service is backed up and they need help because they don't like May ad? It was swamped, and they were calling me out to the counter, and I was back there grinding, and I was doing all this stuff, and we were one man short, and we should have had another guy there, and we didn't. And so, I'm missing lunches. It's not, it's just who I am. They knew I was doing it, and so, anyways, they suspend me for this day. And so, after that, I think we tried to make the physical therapist appointment, and I was being chided. Now, everything hurt back then. The work hurt, the physical therapy, and the chiropractic. I mean, it was just hurt. And I was telling them, man, I'm hurting, guys. And I'm getting chided for missing chiropractor appointments and physical therapy appointments when, they were making it impossible. Okay, so the 29th I've got work, and then I got physical therapy afterwards. And so after, we just leave and we make a beeline to physical therapy, and the driving is killing me. And so after that, like at 5 o'clock, we're back in the ER. And so ER, what does the ER say? The ER, I go in there with these spasms and all this pain, and they put me on hydromorphine, which I had before, and it's really calming everything down, and so I'm waddling out of there. But they note spasms, weakness, and muscle spasms of the left lower extremity. Well, it was the right leg too, it was both sides. But they said paresthesia is what I had. Okay, they want me back to work. So at 1 o'clock we're getting out of the ER and heading home, and then by 12:30 I'm back to work, facing shelves. And then I start to get worse. And I, facing shelves, and I'm calling the doctor, chiropractic, what's going on? Help me here. And so they have me go upstairs, and I'm just not stable. I'm not feeling well at all. So I'm up there answering phones, and everything just gets to spasming. I'm just, sitting there, spasming, with my legs and everything. And so I says, I can't do this. I got to go home. Okay, this was like at 4:30 or 4:45, and my this is kind of like this is the conversation that Dash and I had. Okay, employer wants me back. Send email explaining. Okay, then my employer wants me back to work, so I drive in and I'm there by 12:30. I inform them that I am not feeling well. I work until spasms get to the point where I feel like I'm going to fall. I ask to leave. My wife and my mother come to pick me up and take me home. This is the conversation that we had text. Me, I have them at 2:45. How are you doing, she says. I'm worried about you. This is 3 o'clock. Me, legs weaker and I can't stop spasming. That's 3 o'clock, 3:04. Wife, they need to let you leave soon. Please don't overdo it. You already took the spasm meds, right? Because I called the doctor and all that stuff. 3:05. I can come get you. Just let me know if they will let you leave. This is 4:30. Your mom's coming now. Be there ASAP. 4:43. I'm going. At 4:43, I'm heading out the door. I'm done. We're going where? 4:44. On my way. Hang in there. So that is the 30th of August, and I'm done, and I know I'm done. I mean, I don't know what's going on at this point other than, okay, pinched nerve, lumbar strain, all this kind of stuff. So I'm home, and things are just not well, so we go back into the ER on 9/4. And so, I don't know, pain medications and all that stuff. Again, on 9/4, I'm seen by Charity Elmendorf, who writes out an APF, sends it to the employer, radiculopathy. That's the first time that I'd ever heard the term radiculopathy was on this day. The employer got it. And then I call my union and says, can you protect my job? They said, yeah, we'll go down here and talk to this lady in HR department, that's kind of over the injured worker, end of things. And, this kind of ties in, what they were focused on too. And so I send, okay, I'm going to protect your job. I think I can do that. You got time off benefits or something like that, according to union contract. So on 9/7, I'm calling into the store. I'm still not well. And 9/7, calling into the store, and they said, you've been terminated for you've been voluntarily terminated. Okay. I send this email to them, and so Jamie Hahn sends an email out. I don't know if she's talking to me or somebody else. I know she's talking to somebody else. 3 minutes later, and states, how can we stop Dace from going to the ER concerning this claim? It's too expensive and not necessary. And I could barely walk at this point. So, anyway, so I'm terminated. I've lost my position. The union doesn't do anything for me. Don't have any union rights. I've paid into it this far. No union rights. In fact, everybody just stops answering my calls. Okay. I'm calling, what's going on here? Oh, she's gone, he's gone, everybody's gone. Philip Levine's gone, and all this kind of stuff. And so, but I'm not well, and I just resolved I don't do anything. The union says before that, gives me the name of an attorney, and I call this attorney. He says, okay, send us the file, copy it all off. So here I am, buying more ink and copying this file off, and I take it down to him, and I'm spasming. I mean, my low end is just jerking when I go into his office, and everybody's looking at me like this. And so I leave it there, and I don't talk to the attorney, and then I call him back, and he says, well, we think you can do this yourself, and he writes out this to-do list and stuff, and so I tried hiring him after that, and he just never seemed like he was going to take the case. And by then I had lost my job and all this kind of stuff, and then I called him one more time after that, and he was going on vacation for 2 weeks. And I said, can I talk to somebody else? No, I'll be back, or something like that. So anyways, so we're moving along there, and anyways, this is, oh yeah, I call, I send a letter to Philip Levine asking him for a change in primary care doctors in I think it's August. I'm calling and stuff like that, and then I send one to him on September 7th, the same day, can I change primaries? She's just too far, I'm not getting better, what's going on here? This is the response from Labor and Industries, you know, they saying, oh, well, you know, basically, you know, screw you. And so this is a herniation. This is a herniation. And so my herniation now at L3, you remember the x-ray report didn't say anything about L3 issues, but a later report from IMEs, they were saying that there was L3 and L4 disc height loss in that x-ray, right? And so they're starting to change the narrative, you know, or they were changing the narrative. And so this is L3 now. It's basically pinch here, pinch here, pinch here. So it's basically, and a herniation is when the fluid starts seeping out of the disc and into your spinal canal. Well, the third MRI taken on September 21st, I went in to have this MRI. The doctor at the ER said that I had a shift in my L3 to the left, okay? And then later I find out that my MRI had been put into a different file. And then, in fact, after claim closure, none of the doctors have had access to it. I've never seen this MRI. I got a copy of what, you know, of the MRI, but when you see this side view here in the MRI, now MRIs are very, very specific, right? You know, that's why you have an MRI, because they are very, very specific. And so, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of out of, you know, this is just all. So you have the lumbar, you know, you have the lumbar, you know, it's like this. Well, anyways, you know, it looked really good, you know, in the first x-ray, but now your lumbar like this, because I had an independent x-ray done, basically looks like this. My whole lumbar had been shifted forward. The L5, you know, ruptured is what it appears, and I've asked people about it. It's a rupture. Both, basically the back end of the lower vertebrae and the upper vertebrae are like this, and it's just straightened. And so I got a diffused disc at L4 and 5. I got a, you know, a herniated disc, a ruptured disc at L5, and L3 has basically collapsed, and then you have a multi you know, herniation, and then a shift in my vertebrae. That is the end of the story. They basically got by with crippling me because they refused to acknowledge a disc injury in May and wouldn't even tell me about it. And so since that time, you know, I've been able to be on my feet for an hour and a half a day, and then I get all this weakness and spasms, you know, I barely can walk. That's the whole context of what's going on. And then you go into another IME that they had scheduled for me on October 11th, okay? On October 11th, I go into this employer paid. Now at this point, I'm looking back and I'm going, okay, they want out of this. How do you get out of this? You pay 3 doctors to come in there on this serious condition right now because I'm crippled and I can barely walk. You come in there with your magic wand and you say all is better. He